I'm Jeff Cornwall, and this is the Entrepreneurial Mind. Today our guest is Ken Raetz of Think Data Insights. We'll be back to talk with Ken after this.
Talkopolis programming is sponsored in part by the Center for Advanced Dentistry, now serving the greater Nashville area.
Well, welcome, Ken.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So, tell me a little bit about the genesis of this business, because you do a pretty specialized kind of data analytics and analysis.
Sure.
How do you get into something like this, and how did you decide to start this company out?
Sure. Well, that's a great question. We actually, this is something I had been thinking about for quite some time. I had been working with companies for probably the better part of the last 10 to 12 years, providing these types of services, which is custom data analytic solutions. So operational data, financial data, basically information to help them run their business. Okay. So that coupled with this...
Typically bigger kind of company clients?
It's probably more small to medium-sized businesses. So there's and that's certainly, there's such a wide range with that.
Right.
But it seems to be at this sort of magical point where companies have grown to a point where the complexity of their systems has exceeded their ability to really report and get good information out of those systems.
So are you helping them make decisions about kind of what part of the business to grow, or where to grow, or
Right.
or what's keeping them from growing? Or
That's great. Yeah. So I would say that we are helping provide the insight into what would help them grow. So what product lines, what customer segments, to grow their revenue. But we're also giving them insight into what's costing them so much. How do you reduce the cost? How do you optimize the efficiency of the business? So the goal being that you create this value, there's a gap there between revenue and cost, and that's your profit. And so help them grow that by increasing the revenue and decreasing the cost. So our goal is to provide the right insights so that they can see that and start to make some decisions based upon that.
And it makes a lot of sense that you're going with smaller and medium-sized enterprises, because that's where a lot of them struggle. Right. I mean, I talk with them, and a lot of times they don't even understand sort of the basic cost accounting of their
Right.
business. They don't know what costs go into what they're doing and where their overruns are.
That's right. And as a fairly recent small business owner myself, I can see how that happens. As a business grows, you're wearing many hats, and then you bring in additional leadership, and they're wearing many hats. And so there comes a point where you really don't have a good handle. You're just, in a sense, you're kind of putting your finger up in the wind and hoping you kind of know which direction it should blow. And so they're making a lot of educated guesses. And what we want to do is we want to help them move toward more of a fact-based decision-making process.
Right.
So using information, using the data that oftentimes is sitting right there in the walls of their business.
And from what I saw on your site, it's very visual kind of a...
Yes, we love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, and I think that's good for busy
Mm-hmm.
managers in a small business too.
It is, and honestly, that's the part that kind of attracts people to these kinds of solutions. I think the unfortunate part is sometimes they're attracted to just that, and they end up spending money on software and processes that don't really net out the value that they're hoping it will. It maybe is too complex, requires a lot of IT support to keep going forward, and we're trying to change that. We're trying to help companies start where they are, use some tools that can help them, but really, move them forward from wherever they are. There's a journey that they go on, and so we want to move them forward in that journey, knowing that there will be a point where they are a larger enterprise, and they need to kind of pave the way and build the foundations for that.
So if I'm let's say I own a nice sized little company, mm-hmm. and I'm knowing I'm kind of sailing blind at this point, that my financials aren't enough, and I'm trying to figure this out. So do you sit down and sort of tailor a system for me, and then I pay you a fee over time to use it, or how's your pricing work? Because for small business owners,
it is.
Oh man, we're cheapskates when it comes to stuff like this.
Absolutely, and certainly that's a tougher thing for a very small business owner. So typically we see, we're able to work with companies that have an established leadership team,
Right.
that again have the complexity of the systems, and they're going to easily be able to pay for a 2 to 4 week kind of process, and that's really what we take. Is we break it down. A lot of companies will estimate a 3 to 6 month kind of process, and they're hoping to see some return on that investment, but they're just not sure. And we're shrinking that for them, both in cost and in terms of when they get to see results.
So is it a one-time fee, or is there sort of an upfront setup cost and then ongoing?
Right. We have two different ways that we deliver that. So the one way would be, we see 3-6 months down the road where you really need to be.
Right.
And we're going to help you by delivering in, say, 2-week increments of just value. Okay. So, for example, that might be sales reporting, and so we're going to deliver that in a 2-week time frame, and there is a cost to that, a fixed cost to that. But then now they can,
But they know that
use
cost
it, and they
ahead
know
of
that
time.
cost ahead of time. It's fixed. They can use that now, and that's so critical. So often, a large system gets built,
Right.
and by the time it gets done, they're ready for something different.
Right.
And so we want to deliver regular intervals. So agile development methodologies
Yep.
are really where this falls in.
Yep.
We want to deliver regular intervals of value, and so those are fixed cost. And at that point, the client can say, okay, we're ready to own some of this on our own, and we do some training during that time, or we need a little help taking the next step. So
Do they
that's
continue
one
to
way.
pay you then
and,
beyond
and
that
they'll,
point?
for additional development, additional components, if you will.
Oh, okay. So once it's developed, it's theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one model. The other approach that we are looking at is, again, this would probably be more for the smaller owner, where we can sort of pull the same industry, same needs, same kinds of analytics, and shrink that upfront cost and move to more of a support role where they don't really have to worry about that. We'll handle the infrastructure. We'll handle the essentially the web access. It's kind of a mystery to a number of business
Right,
owners.
right.
And so we'll handle all of that and just make sure that they have access to the analytics that they need.
I mean,
So,
that business-to-business pricing is especially with that size client is such a challenge to
It
get
is.
it right.
It is.
And to, accountants struggle with this,
Mm-hmm.
attorneys struggle with this. I mean, it's just, how do you make it worthwhile for you as a
Right.
business owner, providing the service to make it worth it, and also communicate to them that they're getting a value.
Right.
And I think the more you can do that kind of fixed pricing, that small business owners like that. They know what they're getting into rather than sort of an open-ended consultancy.
Right, and that's what we want to do. We said when we started this, my business partner and I, we said we want to serve. That really was our goal. And so if it doesn't end up being a win-win, we haven't really done that. We want to make sure that they really feel like they've received value for what they've been delivered. So the first evidence for us that was happening was as we were talking through with one of our clients and really going through this approach. And in all my years in consultancy, and I've not heard the reaction I heard, which was, okay, so if we'll do this, and in 2 weeks we'll see this, and this will be the price.
Right.
And they said, I get that. And if we want to move forward and add these other things,
Right.
this will be yes, I get that. The CFO, the CIO, they understood it. So that was really important to us, that we serve, that they see the value, they see it early. And I think that kind of differentiates us a little bit. Certainly not unique, but definitely differentiates.
I think it
what we
really
do.
does, because I think there's a lot of people still struggling with that. So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about it, really enjoying it, to be honest, and getting to serve and help companies move along in that journey is pretty amazing to see that happen.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks for coming in, Ken.
Well, thank
today,
you.
Ken, and
Thank you.
I'd love to have you back sometime.
I appreciate that. Appreciate
Thanks.
that.
Take care.
Thanks.